This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another, I guess you could say, post-mortem for the Edmonton Oilers following the Game 2 loss, okay? So, a couple of things here. This Stanley Cup Finals is going to be absolutely interesting. Whether it ends in 4, 6, or 7, don't really care. It is going to be absolutely insane based on what we've seen in Games 1 and Games 2 for multiple reasons that we'll all discuss here in a matter of moments. But what is the most maddening thing to me coming out of Game number 2 is the fact that I think after Game 1, Oilers fans could cling to the fact that, hey, Game 1, despite the loss, was somewhat of a moral victory. Why? Well, hey, we hung with them. We had a pretty good game. It was worst game Florida played by every metric of a Panthers fan. So, hey, yeah, no, okay, we capitalized on this in Game 2. We're going to have a great game. Well, coming out of Game 1, the story was for the Oilers, they had to elevate the puck against Bobrovsky. But there was something else they had to elevate going into Game 2 as well, and that was their game overall. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, okay, maybe they elevated the puck a little bit more on Bobrovsky. Didn't lead to goals. They actually scored 1 5-hole for the first time all playoffs on Bob. But no, the crazier part is somehow after reaching here in their game in Game 1, they instead went down to here. And that's, I think, the most disappointing thing, the most frustrating thing coming out of Game 2 is the give-a-dang level, quite honestly, just wasn't there from the Oilers. And then they just, decided instead of trying harder and doing better, they just got frustrated and started playing Florida's game, which I think I've seen in the comments section here and kind of heard some discourse as well. When other teams try to play Florida's game, right, try to play with that cheap edge, try to play with that little extra shot here and there, it doesn't work well because Florida is that much better at it than you are. And obviously, that's what we see in Game 2. That's why Florida wins the game, right? Is because they are just a better team when they're playing their game than you are when you're playing their game. So, for the Oilers, I guess you can say the supplemental discipline. Hey, good luck. At least, thankfully, Draisaitl didn't get suspended for Game 3. Maybe you have Barkov out of the lineup in Game 3. And hey, maybe you have a victory at home because the home fans are buzzing. But unless the Oilers actually care about winning this Stanley Cup, which, again, we've known at times this team's been kind of been known not to look like they care enough, and that's usually when they raise their play, right? This is what's been said all day today is, hey, doubt the Oilers all you want. They're just going to prove you wrong. That's what they've done this season, right? Every time we say, man, they just do not care, man, they cannot get goaltending, man, the defense sucks, they all of a sudden find it and put it together. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for here. But again, the even question that we're having this happen at this point in the season, at the most pivotal time there has been in Oilers franchise history on ice since 2006, the fact that these ugly problems are rearing their head again for the Oilers, plus you got all the embellishment and embarrassing penalties and stuff throughout the Game 1 and 2, it is just a mess. This Stanley Cup final, thanks to the reffing, the embellishment, the stupidity on the ice, and as well as the lack of give-a-dang through 2 games from the Edmonton Oilers, just overall in general, just passing too much, giving up shots, and obviously, too, just not paying attention to the pre-scout in Game 1, it is a clown show out there. It's like, yeah, okay, Florida's got 2 wins. I'm not taking anything away from them. They deserve those 2 wins, especially last night, given what the Oilers gave us. But it's just amazing because Florida's out there doing exactly what Florida does. The cheap shots, the hard shots, right, everything. Everything that has happened on Florida's side has been as advertised. The refs aside, don't care. It's, of course, the biggest complaint every losing fan will ever have is all the refs are against us. The refs out here through 2 games, I don't even think they know that it's the Stanley Cup final based on how they've been reffing. So that's fine and dandy on my part. Is I came into the final, in the playoffs, that is, without any expectations that the refs had a clue what they're doing. So throw that all out. Don't care. But again, when you know the refs don't have a clue what they're doing, that just adds to the clown show because then all of a sudden you have the guys going out there, whether it be right out of the gate, the Florida Panthers taking a knee on hit there on Bouchard, and then all of a sudden Fogle answers back, well, a Florida guy got 2 minutes for tripping, so if I throw the knee, I'm going to get 2 minutes for tripping and take the guy out of the game. Haha, right? Whether it was intentional or not by Fogle, you got to think there was some thought process there along the way on the Oilers bench that, hey, that next knee we throw is only going to be 2 minutes. Instead, it's 5 in a game. Sure, whatever. And then all the other clown stuff that happened throughout the hockey game, I get it. It's the Stanley Cup Finals. These are two teams that are desperate to win. These are two teams that will do anything, as we have seen through 2 games, to finish this thing off and get 4 victories in their column before the other team does. But it's just the heads whipping back. It's the crying for penalties, the laying on the ice dead. And it's just, I heard on Oilers Now, I think it was Brendan Escott or somebody saying, like, hey, at some point a ref's got to look at one of those guys that's squirming around on the ice that's hurt and say, get up, right? I'm going to embarrass you here. I'm not giving you embellishment. Get up and just actually skate off because you're fine, right? And I think that's what the biggest part here is. It's been frustrating to watch the lack of care from the Oilers through 2 games, right? That's frustrating. We know that the second you doubt them on that, they're going to turn it around and make you look like a clown yourself. So that's where I'll take the heat for saying it now, especially if the Oilers win this in 6 or 7, no problemo. I'm fine taking the heat for that after 2 games. If that's where you want to lay all the blame is me calling the Oilers and me being wrong on it, hey, I'm good with that. But the biggest part here is everything else going on in this series is just like the NHL has gone so far to get policing the game away from the players that we have arrived back at the point that this series can only now, after 2 games, be policed by the players. But the problem is there's rules in the rule book now that prevent that. So it's going to be an absolute mess the rest of the way home. And this is where the NHL has lost the plot over the many years, right? You had Aaron Ekblad actually make Evan Bouchard tap out. This ain't MMA. Guys, I know guys fight bare knuckle on the ice, but this ain't MMA where we're doing submissions here. And Evan Bouchard was tapping out for his life there. So it's pretty incredible where we're at in this series. And I mean, yeah, you know what? I would be seeing the same thing probably in Game 3. Evander Kane's going to do something stupid, or Darnell Nurse, if he gets out there and he knows he's only going to get 5 minutes because of his injury, he might do something stupid. Or you might have Sam Carrick go out there, hey, I got a fine for stick tapping a guy between the berries. I'm going to go out there and make sure he feels me this time, right? Sam Carrick, the only guy to face supplemental discipline. Who else could we have go out there and do something stupid? Draisaitl, right? Takes a leap at somebody's head and doesn't face suspension. So this is only going to get worse, right? And I think the Oilers, guilty as charged, have a bunch of players that have a couple of screws loose when they get heated, and it could get very nasty. And this, the only problem I have with that is that's Florida's game, right? Florida is go beat you down stupidly and still survive because they're an offensive juggernaut while also being a physical juggernaut and a defensive juggernaut who also happens to have a Hall of Fame caliber goalie in net, right? Florida is the complete package in a Stanley Cup final. The Oilers are getting there. They might be there. Hey, you know what? They can still win this. It's not a best of 3. It's a best of 7. But Florida has the guys that have historically, right, like the Oilers, like a Draisaitl who goes a little bonkers when he gets frustrated. Matthew Tkachuk's learned from that early in his career. I think you have Sam Bennett, who's learned to be under the radar sneaky. Well, Sam Carrick tried to be, but got caught doing that. So, And then, right, you have guys up and down the lineup. I mean, I doubt we see Corey Perry in the lineup unless Fogel's injured. But you have all these guys up and down the Oilers lineup that, have a little bit of sneaky anger, cheapness in their game. And unfortunately, whether it's fault of their own or it's fault of just how good the Florida Panthers are truly at it, it ain't going to benefit you the rest of the way in this series. So the Oilers have to figure out a way to elevate their game, not play in the muck with Florida. I mean, you can't even call this the muck. It's a clown show at best. Is you got to find a way to elevate and stop the excuses, stop the overpassing, and just be direct with your game. just go out there and dictate how the game will be played. Like I said, if you get the benefit of Barkov potentially missing game 3, you have to capitalize. But the Oilers, by every metric, should have taken what they did in game 1, other than missing the pre-scout on Bobrovsky, and gone out there and done that in game number 2. Instead, they were stale, flat, whatever you want to say. It was a very tough game to watch as an Oilers fan because, quite frankly, they, for the most part, just didn't show up, in my opinion, until they got to the point of frustration and then started doing stupid stuff. And I guess maybe we saw just how effective Warren Foegele and Darnell Nurse truly are in the Oilers lineup, because we missed them most of the game. I think, in fact, what's 1/12? I don't know how to do that math. Over 90% of the game, we missed both of those guys, pretty much, I'm pretty sure. So it's going to be tough here if you're the Edmonton Oilers, and playing Florida's game ain't going to cut it. Like I said, right off the bat, you got to elevate above Florida's game and be the best you can be, because what we've seen in game 1 and 2 is not enough. That said, you doubt the Oilers, they prove you otherwise, and they go on to keep winning. So we got 5 games left. You got to win 4 of them. Let's get this job done here, friends, and let's move forward to the Stanley Cup, hopefully. Let's see where we go. Thanks for being aboard. I'm up on out here.